Get more hours. Another way to earn more money is simply to work for more hours, be it for your current employer or for somebody else. Let's see how we get those additional hours. So as you might remember, we said that if you are more productive, you can actually work more during your workday. So you can spend less time on efficiency, help your friends, and also work more. However, we can also do something with the chores that we do at home, and they are probably equal to 40-60 hours per month. And if you solve this, you can actually work much more. So not only this part that we have defined previously, but actually you can change the time you spend on chores at home to actually work, so delivering value. Now, there are plenty of reasons why it makes sense. So first of all, specialization leads usually to efficiency jump. So if you devote more time to what you're doing now, you become much better, and therefore again you will have an increase in efficiency, but also you'll be recognized as an expert in this area and they are more likely to pay you more. You also reach faster the excellence level, the so-called 10,000 hours rule, which basically states that if you want to be best in the world, you have to do something for a very long time, the magical 10,000 hour threshold. If it's reached, then most likely you have reached the mastery in a specific area. Under certain conditions, you can also generate obviously more cash, because you usually delegate the work to people who earn less than you or organize in a better manner. Therefore, you can use the time you have gained to generate cash and still be better off by paying the people to organization to whom you have delegated the chores. Another thing worth taking into account is that if you gain additional 40-60 hours per month, you can actually deliver 10x or 3x more output than your colleagues and competitors. First of all, because you have those gains we have talked about, but also you devote more time to that. And from the point of view of your boss, you become extremely valuable worker. So again, it's more likely to get a raise and it's more likely to get promoted. You also can reach the critical mass faster. So if, for example, to get promoted at work, you have to finish certain number of projects. If you get additional 40 hours per month, you can finish those projects much faster because you have simply more time. And finally, your programs becomes more visible. Again, you're putting 20, 30 or sometimes 40% more time to work than your friends. So even without the productivity gain, the difference will be visible. So with consistency and more time, you can actually outdo your colleagues and therefore be more likely to get the raise. So in the next lecture, I will show you how this can be actually done in practice and how to calculate whether certain things make sense or not. Let's see in practice what we can do with the additional hours we have gained. So we are back to Maria we have met in the previous sections. Last time we saw her, we tried to do a make or buy analysis, have a look at the chores she was doing at home and to decide which one she should delegate to other people or not and how much she can save. Now we will see what she can do with the gains in time. Just to remind you, Maria is from Spain. She earns €40 after taxes per 1 hour. And by delegating the chores at home, she can manage to save almost 70 hours per month. With this amount of time, she can do two things. So one, she can work obviously more. Her employee is fine with that. And then the other option is simply to study for CFA and earn more in the future. It will take her a few years. So your task will be to check which option is better. In the next lecture, I will show you the file with the detailed data, and please try to use it and estimate which option will be better. And later on, I will show you the solution to this case study. Let's have a look at the data you have at your disposal to see what should Maria do. So please open a file attached to the lecture, which is called Get More Hours Maria Empty. And here in the master sheet, you'll see a table of content. This is an extended version of what we were doing previously when we were looking at the make or buy analysis, what Maria should do. And we finished in make or buy sheet where we tried to summarize the make option versus buy option and what could be the potential savings. Now your task is to fill in the working sheet and CFA sheet. We already prepared the structure for the data for you to be easier, and I will briefly discuss what has to be done in each and every sheet. So first, start with the additional expenses monthly she has to experience due to the fact that she's delegating those three chores. So cooking, cleaning, and shopping. The data you can find in each and every sheet. So cooking will be in cooking sheet, then cleaning in cleaning sheet, and then shopping in shopping sheet. On the basis of this, automatically this will recalculate the annual expenses. And then what you should try to do is calculate the additional income from working additional hours. So this should depend on the number of hours saved per month, obviously number of months, and then hourly salary wage she currently has. On the basis of that, the sheet will calculate the additional cash flow. This we will receive by comparing the additional income from working additional hours and the additional annual expenses that we have to experience in order to be able to gain the hours we're going to use for working more. So here you will be describing the working options. So we assume that you delegate those 3 tasks we have mentioned here, and the saved hours, so 69 hours per month, you totally dedicate to work, and this gives you some additional cash flow. More complicated is the second option, so gaining CFA certificate and at some point earning more. So here we start with the same thing. So you first have to calculate the additional expenses monthly that you will incur, and they will be the same as in the first option. But later on, we will have to calculate something which is called number of hours devoted to studying. We know that it will take her some time to finish this certificate, so we have to see how many years she will devote to studying and at what point she can actually start having a higher salary per hour. So that's why we start with calculating the number of hours she devoted to studying, obviously cumulative, and you will see in the sheet parameter that we have assumed certain thresholds. So in order to finish the CFA, she has to devote at least 2,500 hours. So this is something you should consider, and we already created a certain formula here that should help with that. As previously, we will also have additional income from working additional hours, but this will appear at some point. So it will not happen like in the working option right away, but it will somewhere happen in year 4 or maybe 5. And at this point, obviously, instead of earning 40 euro per hour, we'll gain 30% increase. Now, on top of that, we have to remember that the increase in the salary will be not only on the additional hours that we're going to be working. So we have to remember that the salary increase will not only be on the additional hours that we're going to be working, but also on all hours that we work. So if our salary increased by 30%, it will not be on the additional hours, but it will be actually on all hours. So we also have to calculate this here. So how much I will gain due to the fact that I will be earning more per 1 hour during my 168 hours per month. And once you have those 3 values, you can see the additional cash flow impact. And as in the previous example, you have a comparison with the current situation. Now in sheet parameters, you will find the parameters you need for solving this case. So we have the salary, current one, then we know by how much the salary will increase if she gets the CFA, so it's 30%. We know how many hours she has to devote to CFA, so 2,500. We know how many hours she works per year, and then we have this discounting interest rate for calculating the net present value. Obviously, you can change those values, but first start with solving the working sheet and CFA sheet. And as always, I suggest pausing this lecture, try to solve it on your own. And once you're done with the solution, please move to the next lectures where I will show you one by one how we have solved this case study. I hope you managed to solve the case on your own, but just in case, we'll go through the solution. So please open file attached to the lecture, which is called Get More Hours Maria. And here you will see that we have already solved the working and CFA sheet. So let's go to first working sheet, where we will try to estimate how much she will gain over the 10 years if she uses the additional hours to work. So just as a reminder, the columns are years. So this is year 1, 2, and the column S is year 10. We start with additional expenses per month. So as you can see, we will be spending 465 per month more due to the fact that we will outsource cooking. So we're going to buy ready-made food. Cleaning will be done by the cleaning lady, and shopping will be also done by somebody else. In total, it means that during the year, we're going to spend 5.6 thousand. We didn't include any inflation, so this is like fixed per year. So this is additional expense we have if we delegate the domestic chores of cooking, cleaning, and shopping. Now let's look at the positive side, so the benefits. And we have calculated them here, the additional income from working additional hours. Since we are saving 69 hours, we have it from make or buy sheet. We can calculate how much we can earn through working more. So we use the current hourly salary, which is 40, and then obviously we want to have annual, so we calculate it for 12 months. Therefore, we can see that we'll roughly make 32,000 additional money from additional work. And obviously we have to calculate the difference between those two things. So we have the 30 to almost 33,000, and we deduct from them the annual expenses of 5.6 thousand. In total, it means that net after we pay for the additional services, we are able to generate additional 27,000 of cash. We want also to calculate what it means in terms of percentage-wise with respect to current salary. So we calculate Maria's current salary in row 26, which is 80,000. We got it by calculating the multiplication of 168 hours, so how much she works currently, then number of months, and obviously the salary of 40,000. This is the 80,000 we have. So this would mean that if we generate additional cash flow of 27,000, it means that she's earning 34% more every year, thanks to the fact that she has decided to delegate some of the things and to put the hours she has gained through the delegation to work. Obviously, here we assume that she does exactly the same job that she has been doing so far, or at least at the same level of salary. In column T, we also provide the total sum. So as you can see, in 10 years, she's gonna earn 273,000 more. In terms of net present value, which is in column U, it'll be 210,000. So it's a little bit lower. Now let's move on to the next option. So what would happen if she decides to do the CFA certificate, and later on this will give her additional income, and also it will increase her base salary. So let's go to sheet CFA, and here we're gonna look at the impact of having a CFA. So we assume that we're gonna first study to get the CFA, and then once we get it, our wage per hour will go up. So the first part is the same as in the previous case. So we have to pay 465 euro per month to cover our expenses because we have delegated certain things to get the additional hours. This means that per year we are spending 5,600. Then we look at how many hours we devote to studying CFA. This is due to the fact that we know that we have to reach at least the 2,500 hours cumulatively devoted to CFA in order to pass the exam. And as you can see, in year 3, this will be almost 2,500. However, only in year 4, we actually reach above this threshold. As you can see, in year 5, this value does not change because we stop studying. It would suggest that we have gained the CFA. So Maria has the CFA, so she can earn more finally. Now, one thing how we calculated the number of hours devoted to studying in a specific year, we simply multiplied the number of hours we have additionally, so 69 per month, and obviously the number of months. Now, we know that at some point we're gonna pass the CFA, and as you can see, we assume that we do it in year number 4. In year number 5, we can finally reap the benefits, so sell our additional hours, but this time it's on CFA. So we've got the number of hours per month that are saved, obviously number of months, and then the new wage per hour, which is 52 and not 40 euro. So in total, it means that we are gaining 42, almost 43,000 per year just from selling the additional hours. The new wage is calculated by looking at the old wage, so 40 euro per hour, and then we add on top of that the 30% increase, obviously only the minute we are gaining the CFA. Last but not least, we have to calculate how much we're gonna gain from selling our regular working hours at a higher salary. So here we look first how many hours we work per year, obviously without the additional saved hours. So it's 2016 hours, and we calculate it by looking at numbers per month, which is, as we said, 168 hours, and then number of months 12. We multiply it and we get to the 2000. And we also look at the increase in the wage per hour, which is 12 euro. And this is the difference between the current wage without the CFA, which is 40 euro, and then the future one with the 52. So the difference is 12, and that's how we got the 24,000 additional income per year. So we can finally sum it up into one cash flow, and this is what we do in row 36. So we start with the income from working additional hours. So it appears since year 5, and the same goes for the additional income from higher hourly salary, so wage per hour, additional 24,000. Throughout the whole period, we have to cover the additional annual expenses. This means that actually in the very beginning, we are losing money in comparison with the current situation because we are devoting our time to studying and we are not getting any benefits from that. However, since year 5, there is a huge increase in our income. In total, we are gaining in nominal value 345,000 and in NPV 236,000. And below we show obviously the change in income per year. So every year from year 1 to year 4, we are actually behind what we are gaining now because we have to spend for the chores we have delegated to other people. But then after that, we have a huge spike of 76% per year. Now let's compare the both things and see what is the result and which option is actually better. Let's compare working more versus gaining CFA and then working not only more but at a higher salary. So again, we're going to be looking at 10 years perspective. So every column is a year. So year 1 is column J, then year 2 is column K, and obviously year 10 is column S. In column T, we've got the total difference, and then in U, we've got the net present value. So in row 7, we've got the cash flow impact of first gaining CFA and then later working more at a higher, obviously, salary. In row 8, we have just working more. So we delegate the things we have talked about, get more hours, and then we devote it to working what we work now. In the case of Maria, it means that the difference in year 1, 2, 3, and 4 is 32,000. And it actually suggests that within this period, the option where you work just more is better because you are earning more and you can cover for the cost of delegating some of the tasks to third parties or other people. However, when you look at the difference between year 5 and 10, you will see that actually the option of gaining CFA and working more, it's much better because every year you're gaining additional 34,000 on top of the 27,000 that you would earn if you were just simply working more without the CFA. In total, it means that in nominal values, you are better off if you go for the CFA and later work more with at a higher wage per hour, and you would gain 72,000. Also in net present value, this is better. So in other words, this would suggest if you're looking at 10 years perspective, it would be better to first do CFA and then work more and at a higher salary than just work more now. However, you have to remember that the first 4 years will be very difficult because in the first 4 years, you are not only not gaining the 27,000, but you actually have to spend additional 5,600 per year for delegating the task to have time to devote to studying. So if you were Maria and you were looking just at 4-year perspective, it's better to just work more and forget the CFA. However, if you take the long-term view and you believe that you can actually pass the test, then actually going for the CFA will be a much better option. So that's in short. If you have any questions regarding this case study, please let me know by posting a question to the discussion field or email me directly in Udemy.